I am certain.
Are you sure about that? I mean, certainty certainly seems to lead to certain kinds of silliness on this channel. That's why I just assume I am wrong and then work backwards from that. And you know what? Listen to me going in depth on 3 words. We haven't even gotten into the video proper and I'm already acting like this person is going to do the big silly. Like that's ever happened on this channel before.
You've seen multiple videos online claiming that atheism has been debunked.
Oh god, yeah, over and over again. And, you know, they always seem to have one simple question that completely destroys atheism TM. Or it turns out that the asker doesn't know what atheism is/means, even after reading a clear definition. Probably because they don't know how words work. Often a combination of both.
And they've been a little hard to watch.
That's saying it lightly. Off they go, smugly pontificating on how smart they are for coming up with the clever boy question that no one has asked before, not realising that either A, loads of people have asked it before, or B, the question is so stupid and meaningless that they have been the first to embarrass themselves by asking it unironically. I wonder if this video is going to be literally all the things at once, he said, knowing the inevitable futility of asking such a fruitless question.
So, I'm truly going to debunk atheism right now.
Wow, that's a friggin' bold-ass statement right there, stated with the unbreakable conviction of a complete and total moron who literally has no idea what he's talking about or how wrong he is. Now, I'm not saying that that's what this guy is, just that that's how he sounds. Not the same thing, thank you very much.
This is one simple question I believe no atheist can answer.
Oh my god, it's happening again! Why do all these motherfuckers always have this one simple question that no atheist can answer? And every goddamn time the question is completely freaking asinine. And they always think that instead of, oh, I don't know, going somewhere a little bit private, like a pub or even a forum if it needs to be online, but somewhere that isn't the equivalent of shouting on a street corner, aka YouTube. They always just come right here with their brilliant questions straight away and then are completely surprised when their very big Brian smart boy question gets absolutely torn to shreds. People, always ask someone your questions before coming on here. And this ain't for me. I love this shit. It's free content. But do it for yourselves. It's embarrassing.
And to one up myself, at the end of the video, I'll give you the #1 reason I believe this question hasn't been asked already.
Oh, I am very sure you are going to one-up yourself, but not in the way that you'd hope. You think it'll be, I just did a smart all over myself, and then an even bigger smart all on the walls and ceiling too. When in fact, well, it's kind of the complete and total opposite of that. It would be sad if it wasn't so gut-wrenchingly hilarious.
Let's get started.
Oh, let's. I am looking forward to it immeasurably.
Atheism is defined as the disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods.
We've heard it all before and we will hear it all again, I am sure, and I will never not be baffled by how so many people hear such a simple idea and completely fail to grasp it in some pretty profound ways. You would almost think that deep down, they're kind of doing it on purpose.
To my ear, the word disbelief used alongside lack of belief displays different degrees of certainty.
No, really, if I disbelieve or lack belief in something, in both cases, I don't believe in that thing. It is pure semantics, and getting hung up on things like that leads down a long, dark path called, well, the rest of this fucking video. Spoilers.
So, when I say this question will debunk atheism, I'm speaking of the atheism pertaining to people who are certain that God doesn't exist.
Well, that's not atheism. That's not how it's defined, and you don't get to just pick and choose that idea. This is not a galaxy brain move. This is just pure intellectual dishonesty. I can debunk this thing if I completely redefine its meaning. Atheism is both people. People who don't know and people who think that they do know. And I say think because unless there's been some massive existential tier scientific breakthrough that I haven't heard of, then no, they don't. That's the point. It's unfalsifiable, which is pretty good reason to think that it still probably is bullshit.
Now, for the magic question.
Certainly is going to be magic, like a miracle. As in, it's a miracle that you can ask that question without immediately having a stroke from the concentrated silly. Kind of a miracle magic type deal.
What is it exactly that you don't believe in?
God! Jesus Christ, keep up, man. It's Senor Goddington we don't believe in. Mr. G and the Trinity pals. We think that Lord G to the O to the D is a big load of nonsense, and that anyone who thinks that he does real has some really shitty evidence for it. Come on, man, this isn't difficult.
Or, more simply, what is God?
That's not the same question. In fact, that's a different question entirely. I told you these people don't know how to words. Now, you can say that it's a related question. Sure, fine, I'll give you that. But to act like it's a different version of the same question is to fundamentally lack an understanding of how questions work.
Since an atheist's belief is that God doesn't exist.
Cough. No, it isn't. Cough, cough. No matter how much you want it to be true, there aren't two versions of atheism. Two people who don't believe in Professor E. God, whether it is a he definitely doesn't exist or I don't know, still both of them don't think that he real. Ultimately, it's a distinction without a difference. And honestly, I don't think it'll even affect your question, because it's still ridiculous either way, so I'm just going to pretend that you didn't say it. I think it's best for us all.
They should be able to define exactly what God is. Easy, right?
I mean, there are a few definitions, but really we tend to be interested with the general understanding of a supernatural being that, does stuff. And that, more importantly, we are expected to do the stuff that you or whoever wants us to because of said supernatural fella. And if we don't, consequences. Because that's all that matters. Other possible definitions, whilst being useless in their own right, are even more so unimportant because nothing is expected of us in that regard. So seriously, who gives a f***?
Let's see. If you ask 1 million people who believe in God to write one page on what God is, how many of those pages do you think would be the same?
Are we talking identical? Because likely none of them. Similar? Maybe some, but surprisingly few, even from people of the same specific sects of a given faith. That's kind of a big part of why the whole idea seems kind of hinky. You would think that if such a being existed, they might, I don't know, have a consistent description? Maybe? Nah, that can't be right. Only a fake God would be consistently understandable.
How many do you think would even be similar? Is it the Christian God, Hindu God, a man in the sky, a woman in the sky, the universe, life itself, the base of everything that exists, an interdimensional being, all provided with different stories and characteristics?
Oof, that was a lot. But I want to just focus in on the non-established religion-based ones for a minute. Because the ones from world religion, well, they are the ones that anyone cares if that's real or not. But the God is the universe or God is nature, those have never sat well with me because it's just so meaningless. All that says is God is this thing that we already have a word for. So what's the point of calling it that? Why say God is just nature? Why not just call it nature? That'll be easier. And the whole point of a god is something that is personified, that has some kind of will. Otherwise, again, who cares? Because as much as nature exists, and, worship away, I guess, but FYI, nature clearly doesn't give a shit. So, why should you?
What is God? Maybe you'll go to the Oxford Dictionary definition. Well, look at that.
No, I don't want to, because you're just going to ignore it anyway, so why should I commit the degenerate act of reading when in about 15 seconds it's not even going to matter anymore? You read it if you care so much, but you don't, because previous.
The top two definitions state, in Christianity, Islam and Judaism, and in some religions. To me, that sounds like the word God allows room for personal interpretation.
Well, clearly you aren't listening to the words that you just said, because those definitions gave a few prescribed forms of God, and then you choose which one you prefer the sounds of, not that God can be whatever I want it to be. Whee! Look at this cheese wheel. This cheese wheel is now God. And you know what else? I'm gonna eat God. You f***ers can't stop me. Nom nom nom. And that's where babies come from.
So, what is it exactly that atheists don't believe in?
God. God! Are you even listening to me? It's like talking to a brick wall with you internet people. I'm starting to think when I sit here shouting at my monitor all day that instead of you just ignoring me, you actually are unable to hear me. No, that can't be right. I guess I'm just going to have to talk louder. Stop being so stupid! Yeah, that'll work.
I doubt it's God. That's just a label deep-rooted in personal interpretation.
No, don't you do it. Don't you go, well, actually, the thing you are saying doesn't mean what you think, because what do words even mean? Because that just goes down the infinitely pointless route of, if words don't have meanings that we can understand, then what are you even arguing? What do you mean, and? What does and even mean? That's just a label. You see how stupid and worthless that shit gets?
It would have to be that they don't believe in particular concepts that are given to that label. For example, a master creator or a benevolent being.
Yes? So what? That's the one we're interested in. And how in the seven hells does that make the label atheist, as in not theist, not apply to people who aren't, get this, frickin' theists? You absolute colossal stack of melt. You just know he thinks that this is super goddamn clever and it's absolute waffle. It is testicle navigation through and through. That means it drives me nuts.
If they still claim they don't believe in God in the entirety of the word, their explanation as a non-believer would have to encompass all possible concepts at once without contradiction or contradicting their current beliefs.
What the hell are you babbling about now? For starters, no it doesn't. All it has to do is encompass the ones they have heard of. Otherwise, they would have to know of random obscure shit and even to start inventing new versions of God for them not to believe in. That's got nothing to do with the claim. I have not been convinced any God exists. Maybe you could tell me one that would make me believe, but you haven't yet. And if you want me to believe, it's not my job to go out and find some new version that you or I haven't thought of. There's like umpteen zillion better things I could be doing with my life, like picking my nose, ear and belly button, rolling the debris into a little ball and flicking it at orphans. And saying I don't believe in a god or gods doesn't contradict anything. It's literally a claim about what I believe. Holy shit, you are unbelievably bad at this. And I talk to people who are bad at this for a living. You are next level garbage at it, mate. Damn.
Example: if an atheist explains God as something more than or grander than themselves, many but not all concepts of God will be covered, and it would contradict their obvious personal beliefs about the existence of something that is grander than themselves.
You are making a lot of assumption about what's in other people's heads when you don't even know what the word atheist means, apparently. Also, those doesn't cover things. God as ourselves, God as E.T. and God as a human. Those aren't gods. Even your idea of what other types of God would be is like a total failure. This is kind of awesome, to be honest. Absolutely hysterical.
I.e. the sun or the Milky Way.
Right, those things, yeah, are real things that exist and we can actually do stuff with and to them and interact with them in tangible ways. Even if only as the motes of dust we are in scale comparison even to the sun, but that's not the bit that matters. They already have names. The sun and the Milky Way, calling them God is again freaking worthless, because we already know what they are, and we don't need an inherently supernatural idea to justify them.
Simply put, people who have their own concept of God are able to reject all other concepts by the fact that they believe Their concept is the one true concept.
Yes, it's called being atheist, which is different from being atheist, because atheist is not atheist. Atheist is not atheist. And atheist is not atheist. Is this all making sense to you, or am I going to have to get the flowchart out?
Those who have no concept of God cannot reject all concepts without identifying all the concepts they're rejecting.
Yes, they can. Watch, I'll do it now. See, just did it then. Watch, I'll do it again. Easy. I am so good at this, I think I'll do a double ultra strength. Oh no. Excuse me? I need to go, do something.
In a nutshell, many religious people reject multiple concepts of God. This doesn't make them atheist.
Oh my giddy Goddington, you absolute fricking... Yes, they aren't atheist because they are theists. They are people who do believe the God concept. How a person can make a video this competently? And let's be real, most people who make these kinds of videos are unironically god-awful at it. How can you do this thing without burning out my retinas, whilst also having no idea how those little squiggly lines on pieces of paper work? The mind boggles.
Therefore, to be atheist, you have to reject all concepts of God, a word subject to a large degree of personal interpretation. It's not possible.
Yes, it is. I'm doing it right now. In fact, I'm so good at it, I do it when I eat, when I sleep, and when I go for a banging shit. Because it's really easy and doesn't require the weird mental gymnastics you decided to make up for it because you aren't the one who decides how words work. Thank Christ, because that would be bloody anarchy.
So, as promised, I'm going to give you the number one reason this question has never been asked before.
It's because it's an absolutely idiotic question that even the dumbest theists on the planet weren't stupid enough to come up with. So, well done! You have achieved the heady heights of asker of silly-ass questions. How do you feel? No, wait, never mind. Words don't mean anything, so I don't care. Bye! Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the...